All right, we live. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming back. Welcome back to the Wednesday night live stream, Proud Masculine live stream. And tonight's guest, as promised and delivered, Thor. Thor is somebody who has been, I think we met almost 6 years ago through an online community. And it's kind of one of those people that, and this is just another example of how God works in my life and how the universe just puts things in place that you need when you need it, and people. And somebody we just kind of hit it off from day one. And, we spent some time together on a mutual panel in a mutual community. And we gravitated towards one another. And that's the most interesting and precious thing about our relationship. And through some of the most difficult times in my life, was he there to help me along and to guide me through some pretty rocky times, pretty trying times, to say the least. And I'm putting that lightly. And hopefully during some of his trying times that I was able to be of some use to him. And that's what I hope for with everybody I interact with. And so I'm not going to tell you a whole bunch more other than how it relates to him and I. But what I'm going to do is turn it over to him and let you hear from his mouth. What's up, Thor? Thank you for coming on.
Proud Masculine, my buddy Joe. Yeah, we really did kind of hit it off. We had spent some time on some panel shows together and were able to chat. And life's been good, man. I'm glad I got into this space. I met friends that are just outstanding human beings. And of course, you are one that fall into that category. Always looking to improve your life, raise your sons with a dominant masculine presence, personality, and understand how to get along in the world. And much like you have had trying times too, and it's always good. It's always good to have somebody in your corner, right? Especially knowing everybody that's alive is going to have something that's going to hit them square in the face like a million bricks, And so it's always good to have folks like that. I just had an experience like that this year, Joe. Yeah, this year I lost some. Well, I mean, how does it go when you lose some vision in your left eye a little bit, and you're Thor, and you think you're turned into Odin, but then you go get checked and you find out there's a lemon-sized glioblastoma brain cancer inside your brain, eating it away. And so you get that stuff taken out, you throw a little dirt in there, rub some tape on it. And, I came out of that surgery and all I could see was rainbows. And I just had this desire to vote for Joe Biden. So once they had taken half the brain out.
Hopefully it grew back.
No, but on all serious note, it was a good slap in the face because, as you know, I'm a full-time caretaker. In addition to doing our Dragon Ship panel shows and the Dragons and working with MEN. Like I said, I'm a caretaker to a full quadriplegic wife, married 34 years. So we have that. And then to go down with brain cancer did cause, some of that stress. And one of the things that really helped out was this entire community for me that I had learned about, and even fans of my book that published about a year and a half ago. And all got together and they did some streams. And what they did is they raised some money and paid for the nursing care for about 6 months while I was getting radiation. And I'm still getting radiation, but while I was getting the first course of radiation and chemotherapy and was a little bit, I was a little bit down. So they did that so that I had nursing care, not so much for me, but for my quadriplegic wife. Now, who does that? This is the community you and I are in. And while I was out, they wanted me to get well. They built this amazing studio, of all studios in my garage, fully air conditioned. It has soundproof. It is an amazing studio, and asking me to restream and start the shows back up. I'm quite
studio looks great.
It does. They picked out everything. I mean, I got these flaming sconces. The idea behind it, you can't see it in your photo, but on my right-hand side is the wooden dragon's head from a longship. And so the idea behind it Our flagship show is the Dragon Ship, which is a panel show on Saturday, right after Rule Zero.
All right.
And in fact, half our members on the Dragon Ship are Rule Zero members. So it's really a fun talk, a little bit different, more tongue in cheek, I would like to think. And the idea is that we're in the belly of the Dragon Ship, sailing on the adventure of the ages, knowing that a rising tide lifts all ships, and we are that rising tide. As Drakkars on Thor's Dragon Ship. So that's the idea behind it. And we have just been having so much fun. Good people. They flew across the world to see me. MLD came out here. John Fitch came out here. Sterling Cooper came in from Spain.
Yeah, that's a good dude.
And
solid
those
dude.
Guys, him and Jay Waller, holy crap. And Tristan. I mean, I was in Miami at the CME a few years ago. We're just getting along. You know, my wife was still very, very disabled, and I had to have several nurses caring for her. Because if you've been around a full quadriplegic, there's lots going on with food, with bathrooms, all that stuff.
Right.
These guys were having fun, and they're like, hey, we're going to Columbia next week. You're coming with us. I'm like, I am.
What are you going to say?
It's like, I would love to, but it was, no, we're paying for everything. Let's go. I ended up not going because I was just a little concerned about the length of time I was away from a full quadriplegic wife that did need care. I wish I would have gone on that trip with Jay, but it's okay. They're just good people, and it would have been a blast, you know. But hey, I am the old man of the group in my mid-60s now, so I didn't want to be an anchor either, you know.
Well, you are a great example for men, and what you need to be looking like and doing and functioning like in your 60s. You don't have to get old and die and be decrepit and live in a fucking, wear those high waist khaki pants and a picnic shirt, and you can
you don't have to give up.
That's absolutely true. At 60 something.
And I will tell you this: I have lived mostly a healthy life. I ate well. I don't smoke. I don't drink. Yeah. What happened with the glioblastoma is anybody's guess. Can happen at any age. It's isolated the brain. It actually could have been there for many years. I had symptoms like these back in 2011, and they lasted 6 months, and they went away. So we're gonna do that again, right? Now we'll do it even better because they took the tumor out, or at least most of it. You'll see me wearing the eye patch only because there's double vision slightly, so my muscles will overwork to compensate. I might swap to the prism glasses, the blue blocker prism, and that brings the picture to a line. But a lot of times I can avoid the migraines, just wear the eye patch, and it's really good. And I got a funny story about the eye patch, Joe.
And it looks good.
I went to the grocery store, right?
Yeah.
Here I am. Look at me, right? And I go to the grocery store, and it's a bit of a, I got to get there, and I don't want to bump into anybody. And I'm walking up, and there's this folding table, and it's got this green cloth on it, and there's all these little boxes on it, and there's two kind of preteen girls, and then there's a man behind it. And one of the little girls turns real fast and points at me and looks at the man standing there and goes, "Dad, look, a pirate."
I bet you that made your day.
It made my day, man. It made my day. So, when I meet new people, they ask my name. I'm like, Captain Jack Sparrow. No.
Yeah, it looks badass. You wear it well.
I hate wearing it, though. It is distracting and hot. But, yeah. Rooster Cockburn, right on, Henry.
Rooster Cockburn, he said. Yeah.
Freaking thing, man. The funny thing is, when there's a mesh in here, the idea behind this training patch is so that it helps my brain adjust as I bring those images back together. Apparently, that was possibly caused by the surgery or the traumatic brain injury. So, there's a good chance I can bring that back. And there's been a few moments where I think it was back. So, yeah. So that's
I think
the big thing that hit me, Joe.
I think you're going to recover fully.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have when I first heard about this, I was floored, dude. I forgot who I was on the phone with. And, it just chokes me up a little bit now thinking about when I first heard the news. And, man, that was awful. But And I'm thinking, I bet you Thor, I bet you he's not home feeling sorry for himself, and he doesn't need that. Like, what am I worried about? Of all people, this dude's going to be fine. It's going to be a fucking road to travel. It's going to be a journey, but I think a lesser man would have something to worry about.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I definitely got the valley of death to crawl through, but it's okay, you know. We will do it.
Man, you're a hard motherfucker. You've been through some shit. You've been electrocuted.
Yep.
Like, I think you got more than 9 lives.
You know, it's a funny thing. I was born in Texas. I weighed 4 pounds, and I was born at 7 months and 7 days. I spent the first 2 months in an incubator. Had childhood asthma because of lung development. And then at age 16, when the hormones hit me, then I started to become a man. I was a late bloomer. Yeah. And maybe I had something to prove, but yeah, I've been run over, electrocuted, 12,000 volts. Yeah, I wear those scars today. But this is hopefully the last in a long line of tests. Testing the God amongst men.
Yeah. Had enough, huh? You think you've passed enough tests? You don't need any more testing, do you?
Nah, no more testing, brother. You've had plenty of tests too, you know?
Oh, man. Yeah. But, you know, I think that's what makes us who we are. I think that's what builds character and fortitude. Each time you trudge through something, you come out on the other end a little bit more aware of what you're capable of and what your potential is. And then it also brings about a new level and awareness of gratitude and appreciation for life.
Yeah, that's for sure. You know, I guess that's what they say. Was it one of the old Greek philosophers said? You know, was what pain, suffering, combined together over time, results in wisdom.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
and you've got plenty of that. And there's a lot of men who you lead, who follow you, that can attest to that. That's just not me talking. That's a results-oriented answer. Like, you have proof of that. And
well,
that's awesome.
The nice thing about something like this, and if there is such a thing, is I can definitely relay, you know, what I've learned about all of those things to men willing to learn from it, to try to avoid or at least be prepared, because you may not be able to avoid any of this, but at least you can plan for the best and prepare for the worst. And so if that comes up,
nothing wrong with that.
Definitely do that. Definitely.
So so day to day now, what do your mornings look like? What's your first thing you're doing when you're getting up in the morning? What's your morning routine?
Well, let's not talk about the pain or the stretch or anything like that, but really I got to assist her because she's a quadriplegic, you know, get her ready and feed her and, you know, all that sort of stuff. But, you know, I'm not working right now, although I was working, and I was carrying quite a bit. I'd work on the books, because I have some books and I got a book project out. So I'm doing writing. So I was doing that even before this. And then, you know, definitely planning for the future. I was within a year of full retirement, but that's going to delay a little bit because of this, but not much. So we had that. Before this, I had my motorcycles. Of course I did, you know. Yeah. so we had a lot of that. I'm a big giant flirt, so I like to be social too, you know, huge flirt. So I just have fun. So we do social things as much as possible. And then work around the house. You know, of course you got chores. I got a big ranch. Well, big. It's an acre and a half, but it's got plenty. You know, it's got 48 pine trees and all kinds of nice stuff in the middle of the desert. So it's an oasis. So that's pretty good. Yeah. So my wife was hit by a car without insurance from some illegals, smashed into another car and hit it from behind and flipped the car over and into her windshield and broke her neck. Neither party had insurance. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Fuck.
And so that's a pretty ugly thing. What had happened is the one car was making a left, and the car behind it that smashed into him wasn't paying attention, maybe on the phone, who knows? They just hit him at full speed. So it rammed him up in the air and into the oncoming traffic lane. Yeah. So that's what broke her neck.
And I know nobody's going to know this, but before that, Missy still is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Active businesswoman, Thor's right-hand girl. Like,
yep. Aesthetic bodybuilding she was into. Very, very healthy. Yep.
Yeah. She was a specimen. Still is.
Yep. And she is. I'm glad she survived. Yes.
I remember that call like it was yesterday when you when you told me that. I'd just gotten to Minnesota, if you remember.
Yeah. That's right.
And I was just touching base with you, and you called me. I was like, God damn, dude. Talk about feel.
That was a hard call to take, man. That was harder than getting my diagnosis. And my diagnosis isn't fun. My diagnosis isn't fun. You got stage 4 end-stage brain cancer. We got everything we could. You basically got 6 months to 8 years is the prognosis.
Well,
6 months is gone, brother. And my MRI is
6 months is gone. There you go.
Yep. And we're getting another MRI next week. I get 2 more, and I'll be able to stop the radiation hat. And I'm probably going to quit the chemo. That's within the zone of quitting. So if I have none of that, but yeah, that call for her was pretty devastating. Not only to me, but we had very close friends, and it was devastating them too. Yeah.
I could imagine. Yeah. Couldn't imagine.
Yeah. But you do what you have to do, you know?
Yeah. What else are you going to do? What else can you do? What other,
Well, you can cry about it. You can get depressed. You can go on drugs.
Yeah.
You can try to numb it out. There are things you could do, but the actions you got to take is you got to kind of, set your jaw and be in the moment. Really, that stoicism of being in the moment and mindfulness is really the best place to be.
And you were with her for every step of the way, every second by her bedside, making sure, arranging everything, because you had all that static with the facility she was in. You remember that? And
yeah. It was right during COVID, and they wanted to prevent me from being there. And they did that first night. And since she's paralyzed, they stuck a button in her hand if something went wrong. Well, she coded. She was on telemetry and she coded. So the next day I threw a fit, and then they tied a string onto her to go to the bathroom so she could pull the string. She's paralyzed. I pulled the string and found out that the emergency call string, the box that was there, had never been wired from the day it was constructed, and nobody checked it. So I got my attorney, and we talked to the floor director. And after that, me and my advocate had a full pass. We didn't even have to go through COVID streaming in the middle of COVID. And
no more bureaucracy and bullshit after that. Huh?
We had access to the whole place for the whole time. Yep. To be there and watch. Yeah.
There's the positive.
What a shame to have to get the attorneys involved and the director and all that stuff. Yeah.
Look, don't get me started on modern healthcare, and especially in this country right now, with a hardworking man and woman, American citizen patriots have to go through just to get even basic standard of care.
It is pretty bad. Right? Yeah, that's got to get fixed.
And to think that you can come into this country illegally, undocumented, and get all the benefits that aren't available to our elders, to our taxpayers, to our veterans. Skip to the front of the line.
That's because emergencies always go to the front of the line. Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, well, lucky it's an election year and everybody has an opportunity to change that. We'll leave that there.
Yeah.
So, where are you at with your fitness? You said you're not really working out too much. You doing anything at all to?
Well, I had another event about 2 months ago that was related. The brain surgery. A circuit to my heart had caused a flutter. And I passed out in the bathroom and fell behind the toilet, caused some damage to me. So I haven't been able to work out. And well, since December, I was 213 pounds. I mean, you've seen, 10% body fat at 5'10" is pretty massive, and
Fucking
enjoyed keeping
jacked.
it that way. But since then, I've gone down to 190 pounds. I still got a little bit, still pretty decent, but really didn't wasn't able to do much until they did the cardio ablation, which they did, and they fixed the circuit that was caused by the brain tumor to go bad. Um, that was good. And then since then, I've been doing stepping and walking every day. Good half an hour to get the heart rates up and not push too far with blood pressure, because you could always have another vasovagal event. And so when I do that, I wear a helmet and a harness in case I do fall and something goes wrong. I don't hit the ground. I don't hit my head. And I haven't had any instance like that, and I haven't seized or anything like that. So the walking is for endurance. And then just 2 weeks ago, I started doing my push-ups again and my pull-ups and my squats. And I try to do that every other day. So really the workout looks like, 75 squats freestanding.
Mm-hmm.
And then 25.
How many pull-ups you ripping? How many pull-ups you ripping?
I do 20 behind the neck.
Whew. Dude, that's fucking insane.
I have good lats. So, and I get a good pump and stretch going on from those. And I just do the one set of each because I really need to build the endurance back. And that's kind of tough on chemo because
in chemo, you got
to,
everything that you built has been stripped. Like you end the negatives on chemo. That's going to take a little time.
It slows down the fast growing cells, or really all cells. It slows them down. So that's kind of the trick. Plus the side effects from the medicine are kind of sucky. And but so far so good. I haven't had nausea or anything like that. So that's always good. Appetite stayed up. So, there's minor blessings, that's for sure. But yeah, really that's kind of it for the fitness until I get a little bit more into this, another month or so, and I can see that I can start doing 2 sets, 3 sets, and then I would actually have the facilities. I can actually start to lift weights, and I have the safety equipment. So it's just a matter of time.
I think off that chemo, you're going to take off.
I think so too. I do too. That's kind of the factor right now. I got to get at least, if I do the minimum treatment and I have good MRIs, I need 3 more MRIs. So that'd be 3 months, 4 months, and then I can quit. If I do the overly aggressive treatment, that won't stop until April, Oof. But I might just do the early stuff because I haven't had any seizures and I've had good MRIs so far. So I might just stop. Yeah.
Well, good. So besides that,
besides that,
some big stuff you're working on.
Yeah.
Big eyes and a brilliant idea. Nothing short of genius, in my opinion. And I think everyone would agree. You want to talk about that a little bit? What you got going on?
I would love to talk about that. I'd love to get you involved in that too. So as you know, when I went to the CME a couple of years ago and it was on Fresh and Fit and all that stuff, I was in the middle of writing a book.
Well, for people don't know, what is the CME? Because a lot of people don't know what that is.
That's a conference of masculine excellence. There's going to be another one in Reno, Tahoe come this October. I'll try to get up there. I'm going to try to be a speaker there. And I was a speaker at the first one with a lot of guys' names you'd know: Donovan Sharp, Rollo. Also, we had Alpha Villains, Poppy Kingdom. We had more than that. I mean, we had Sterling Cooper, Jay Waller. We pretty much had everybody. Francis. We had everybody there, and spoke at that conference. It was really, really good. And so I published my book the next year, went back on Fresh and Fit. Book kind of sat there, and then just since last summer, the book took off. I don't even know if you can see it, but this is it. It's called The Dominant Masculine Presence.
Come a little closer. You're losing it on the green screen.
How about now? Can you see?
Yep, that's too close. No, yep, well, there it is. I see it. We got a good shot of it.
We got a good shot of it. How about back here? Yeah. You might see it back here.
There it is. Perfect. Now we can see it.
So this is it. It's a good sized book, and what it talks about is some principles. I mean, we all did the money, muscles, game, and frame. Foundational. Fantastic.
Right.
I wanted to go beyond that because even though guys could have that, I noticed that when we started segmenting guys by alpha and beta, they didn't always fit what we had shared in notes. Sometimes you'd have beta guys that are extremely successful. They're doing all kinds of stuff, but not so much in the relationship, right? And sometimes we'd have alpha guys that would be exactly opposite. So I started research this years ago because I thought it had something to do with the way they acted with their masculinity and their identity. And that's really what this dominant masculine presence is about, is identified 7 skills that men can specialize in. And if most men will have at least 2 or 3 of these, and if you can excel in at least 3 of the categories of skills that I've outlined, those men tend to do very well financially, socially, and depending on which skill, they might do really well in their relationships too, business relationships, all those sort of things. And so I wanted to write about that. And I thought that was really, really important to do that. So that's what this book was about. And it kind of sat there for a minute, and then it kind of took off, and I got quite a fan base based on the book. Uses a lot of the principles that we learned in our space, and just kind of, I'll give you an example of why men have dominant masculine presence and can be both alpha or beta. Hope that makes sense to your audience, because you know the alpha and the beta thing, it's kind of become a zodiac symbol for guys a lot of times, but
Yeah,
useful,
it's
but
gotten out of hand. And I actually was going to ask you next about how to break that down and like a simple explanation of alpha, beta, and how they can both be contributors. That if you're a beta, that doesn't mean you're never going to have sex and you're going to live in your mom's basement.
No, this was based on mammal studies with wolves, but it only worked when the wolves were in captivity. When they let them in the wild, they behaved differently. They behaved more like families. It was kind of interesting. And you can go and look at all of that sort of stuff, but we always hear alpha seed, beta need when it comes to the ladies and intersexual dynamics, which we spend a lot of time on in this space, because face it, all of us love women. And we want to be able to actually get what we want out of relationships. And you'll discover, that there are evolutionary psychological principles that women all follow and that men all follow. And once you understand that you can't get all your needs met by any one person, and you kind of relax, you start doing much better in your relationships. And we use the terms alpha and beta to kind of, as container words, to kind of help guys understand that. But it becomes kind of a panacea.
Just simplify it.
Yeah, I'm an alpha guy. And I won't be a beta, and we kind of do that with simp too,
Yeah.
But it's beyond that. Let me use an example. If I was to mention Elon Musk, is he alpha or is he beta?
I would say, from what I understand, in my opinion, he's a beta with like an alpha with beta traits.
So if I was to mention Jeff Bezos, what would he be?
Beta.
Bezos, Amazon founder.
Yeah.
He's what? A beta with alpha traits, maybe?
Yeah.
All right. So what these guys have is they have very different personalities. And what they actually have is interesting. If you look at their interviews, they have what I call, they both have a dominant masculine presence. Even, Bill Gates has this. And you'd call him the biggest dweeb in the world. What is a dominant masculine presence? Well, you can have all those traits of a beta, but if you can put some skills together and some psychology, you can actually, well, here's the skill sets. It's psychology, it's power as an influence, right? It's also let's see what else we got here. I got them right here. We also got passion. We have prosperity, and then we have the ultimate one, which is problem solving skill, which these guys have in spades, right? So you look at someone like a Bezos, and what does he have? He has prosperity, problem solving, and he has passion. And he probably excels at those, and that creates what we would call a dominant masculine presence. He understands that. Watch these guys' body language. They all folded in with body language, the way they move their face, all of those sorts of things. My book talks about and ties to those skills. And while you might think he's a beta, and while you might think Elon's a beta, Elon is more of the alpha type asshole that has relationship issues because he's too busy to fuck with it. He has a lot of these skills, and he has a dominant masculine presence. And if you notice, all the women around him, they flock to him. It's a really crazy thing. And when you have those skills and you couple it with body language, the voice. Now, both of these guys have unique voices if you look into it. I talked with George Bruno about this, and it's really interesting to be able to use the voice and be able to communicate in conjunction with these skills and how you carry yourself. Simple things.
Elon Musk draws you in with his voice and his speech pattern.
He absolutely does.
Captures you.
So you couple that with some body language and some facial moves, and what you get is that dominant masculine presence. Now, that's what I'm calling it. But if you ask any of the girls or the people who work with you know what they call it? And the women that listen to this understand. They call it the vibe. Beta can have the vibe, an alpha can have the vibe, but the vibe is essentially a dominant masculine presence. Now, it's not you dominating over somebody else, but it's you dominating over yourself, your body language, how you communicate. You enter a room and your shoulders are back, your head's up, someone smiles at you, you nod up, you smile back. You have the capability to walk into a room of MS-13 gang members and go, "Yeah, Vatos, what's up, man?" And you're able to connect with them because you got the vibe, you got the understanding. There are men like that. And it's something that my book kind of observes and kind of guides you in that direction. And surprisingly, it also describes the decline in masculinity as it's taught from mentor to mentee over the last 50 to 70 years. So it kind of sets the stage. And then there's some bibliography in there that shows you, that it is true. And then it kind of tells you towards the end, what can you do about it? Well, it tells you about how to carry yourself, why when you walk in a room, you should be the big animal, but you should not disclose. You should allow for discovery, because if you disclose, you're the big asshole know-it-all. Things like that you and I would take as common sense. All of that stuff would be like an attack of common sense. But, we've talked with young men, they don't get that, or if there's a man that's been isolated for a long time in a one-itis relationship, and then he comes out of it, they usually are pretty socially awkward too when it comes to that. So we talk a little bit about that in the book, and it worked really well. And at the very end of the book, I also even create a list of traits and behaviors in women. And of course, there's traits and behaviors in men that you want to cultivate for creating this identity that is you, which is your dominant masculine presence, which you can project out into the world to benefit you and others. But these feminine traits that I call out would help you definitely screen if you wanted a long-term girlfriend or you wanted to date. And I call those traits an elegant feminine innocence. And the way I list them, it's pretty interesting. It actually, because I listed that, when the book went out on Amazon, I ended up in the top 10 for mate seeking. And it really has nothing to do with mate seeking, but the algorithm picked it up and decided that's what it was going to be. And because of that, more than a third of my audience and reviews are from women aged late 20s to 60s. They love the book. Yep, without a doubt.
I can see that. I mean, that's a woman's got to be relieved that there's somebody out there
talking about
telling men, making it easier for them and a better landscape for the future for women.
I've
especially in
sold
these.
about a dozen of these signed for young men, selling them to a woman on the internet. BecomeDurable.com. You can buy signed copies, but that's only part of the story. Also, on BecomeDurable.com, you can get a free chapter and audio. It's on audiobook too. I narrated it. It's about 5.5
Yeah,
hours
I'm gonna
long.
make sure to get. I'm gonna make sure to get it all in the links so everybody can have
No worries.
access.
So when I came back from the hospital, my friend Glenn brought me home, and I was sitting here worried because I was recovering from the cardio ablation, but I did have 3 outlines of books I wanted to complete on top of this. And some of them were workbooks to actually go into, being the example, planning ahead, creating the mindset. One of them I really wanted to do was about, recognizing the hero inside and actually living like the hero inside. Is that self-talk? Having known that most people, or many people, I should back that up, don't have a good internal dialogue. Internal dialogue is going to take you through issues like I have, but there are people that don't. And so how do you teach that? I think it's completely teachable.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to do that and carry some of those books through. Like I said, I outlined 7 skills, and basically out of those 7 skills, and then of course the overarching book is a book on identity, which you always craft. Your identity must always be crafted and changed. They say men have to always be on. Burner performance is always on. And our primary agency is problem solving. It's very different than women. Very different. And when you can do those things, it's pretty impressive. I mean, you do those things, you keep the masculine traits in your mind with affirmations like honor, strength, discipline, self-discipline, ownership, conquest, emotional regulation on the stoic side. You be the rock in every situation. Don't gossip. Provide for provisioning and security for yourself. And when you lead, you're not servant leader, and it's the leadership like transformational leadership or inspirational leadership. Yeah, we're going here, and this is where we're going. Jump on the dragon ship or get off. So there's a little bit of pride that goes with that. I don't discourage pride, risk taking. Talk about discernment, congruence, stewardship. Those are a lot of things that are talked about in the book. And I was thinking, man, how do I get the rest of this out? How do I do that? Well, I have a membership where there are guys in there, and I know a lot of guys in this space. And I brought an idea to them that was, why not take this particular book, since there are skills outlined in this book, chapter 4, and give each guy 1 or 2 of these skills and have them write on their experiences with the skills. And if I was able to do that and they got to write a book, I would create an encyclopedia series based on a dominant masculine presence, and I would call it The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence. Each man could talk about his experiences, what he learned from it, how it was passed on to him, and why it was so important to him to learn these things. And the guys,
how great of an idea is that? That's an amazing idea.
Thank you, man. And and we're always kind of castigated in the red pill space. And I will tell you this, almost everybody has committed over the next 9 to 13 months to write a book and work with me and my team to get a book in this series done. The names and Joe, you're invited to write one too. And I set up a little conference call, and I got all of the notes from my former books in a share drive so they can look at it and they can use with the content. I don't want anything from it except to move the content forward, even under their name. I collaborate with them. This is the first in the series. So now we have 1 book in the series. You got the original, and then you got a man here, Paul Bauer, Come On Man podcast, up and comer, Rule 0 member, Dragon member, who writes on psychology. That's one of the skills. Psychology is one of the skills in my book. He's going to write on psychology, and the subtitle is Mastering Paradigms. Reprogram your mind for a dominant masculine presence and unleash your full potential. He is an NLP certified guy, and he understands the subconscious routines that you need to break and or make to reach your goals. So there's quite a bit here in this book. I mean, the man wrote a book using the skills that I outlined as the first book. And lo and behold, it's a book on paradigms, which probably sets the tone for nearly every skill, because without programming your subconscious mind to think, even the inner dialogue is going to be difficult.
Well, Thor, that's one of the most under talked about, underrated, glazed over aspects of instituting a permanent quality change is starting in your subconscious. A lot of people don't talk about it. You talk about go lift weights, and which is good, and I agree with that. Like lift weights and fuck broads and do all that. Nobody talks about it. That subconscious doesn't go away. That doesn't. You don't start from the outside in and it changes. It may help a bit, but if you don't change that inner dialogue, that subconscious day to day, you will, listen to me, always revert back to your lesser self.
Yeah, I take a different approach when I do that too. When and Paul's working with me on that. We take the guys and we kind of it's kind of corny, but we run them through some exercises, which is essentially method acting. So we start on the outside. Why do we do that? We have these guys demonstrate some of these skills on the outside, particularly body language coupled with the skills we lay out. Why would we do that? In the gym and all that, it's for quick wins. We're getting the low hanging fruit, because
absolutely. And I say
when you
change,
do that,
when we do that,
the inside work gets, you get really excited about the inside work. Sometimes when we start with the inside work, it's kind of like eating the elephant from the tail, kind of hard.
Well, I mean, what I'm trying to say is simply having awareness is not enough, because I preach the same thing. Start in the gym, gym, because that's where you're going to see what it takes, because you can apply the same things, the same principles, the same attitudes and attributes that it takes to make a physical change. The commitment, the discipline, the perseverance, the long-term gratification, that comes, it's a process. And my whole philosophy is you apply those same principles to anything, the subconscious work, the business aspect, you apply those same principles and you will succeed. So yeah, I'm just saying, my point I was making was that awareness of the limitations is not adequate. There has to be work done.
It does. And these books are going to help with that. The very first book was Paul's. So the first series in the essential skills of a masculine presence is out, and it lays the foundation. The second book is out for approval, which is being written by your and my good friend, Raith Dientor. And he's writing on,
oh, wow,
it's going to be frame, brother. He's talking about frame setting. That's his forte. And his book is out right now for waiting approval from KDP. That'll be the second set. AJ Matthews probably will be the third. I know Nuclear Claudio's out there. Pretty much everybody has reached out. I just got a text from Alpha Villains. We haven't spoken yet, but that's probably going to happen. I've talked to almost everybody. They want to do it. There's no time frame, but we're going to try to get one book out a month if we can. But Sterling committed to do one on, Sterling Cooper was going to commit one on passion. Passion is a skill. Yeah, it's a skill.
Absolutely.
And a lot fit in there, but you have to have passion as well, and then problem solving. Alex Huddock is going to work on problem solving. He's had to solve a lot of problems in his own life. So, some of those methods to solve problems would be good. A lot of times I like to solve problems in the reverse manner, whereas I'll see a potential problem in the future and I'll say, okay, what can I do to really make this problem way a hell of a lot worse? What can I do to make the problem even worse? And then I'll say, just avoid those things. Don't do those things. And that's one method. But sometimes if you're lazy, you could do it that way. But there's a lot of methods. Eating the elephant one bite at a time is a method, kind of breaking things down. But we go over that And so we'll see. I just talked to Donovan Sharp, and I could see him doing something on psychology and maybe womanese 101. And he's going to get involved as well. So yeah, so we'll be meeting once a week. You'll get the invite too, about a half an hour, and it's no big deal. It's just to see where everybody's at and if they need any support. Because getting a book published is not easy, and then there's a lot of little moving pieces, and we have the support of the network. You and I know that's willing to help each other out. So the project essentially is a book series, and it looks like we have 8 to 12 men from this space. I don't want to announce any more names other than because they're committed, but they prefer not to do anything until the books are published. But they're people, you know.
Yeah,
people.
keep it quiet. Keep it quiet.
Let
that be in a reveal.
Yeah. And it'll be
absolutely as to what it was intended to be originally, not this goofed up version of whatever the fuck happened to my blessed space.
No, and it will help me to, you know, like I was talking about Glenn. Glenn's going to do one on countenance and act, you know, body language. But it helps me to kind of stay distracted and focused during all of this. And because I'm pretty challenged on the computer because the vision. Yeah. But I've got glasses coming. We'll see. Prism glasses help, but just moving the head around on the computer is challenging. So having the guys help me get content that I had laid out and then get their take on it. I want their take on it. It's useful to get more than one man's take on any given situation, isn't it, Joe? Because you get several different perspectives, and that helps a lot. So this is something that hasn't been done in our space. Hasn't been done.
It hasn't been. And the people you have coming, that's an A-list. That's some A-list men, A-list authors telling you about real-time experience and how they've affected change in their lives. Because I think I can speak for everybody. We all started off not in a great place with life. And it was through the process of all the things you've listed. And make no mistake that this change is just merely a set of skills. And you're just condensing each skill and what it is and what it looks like. And like, it's an amazing idea. Like you have a one-stop shop as how to bring out the best person you can be, the best man you can be in all areas of life.
Knock on wood, because it's already ended some beefs. And if nothing else, we've been famous for kind of cutting each other's throats for a little while, like a bunch of auto mechanics in the same city. And right. And some of the guys have ended some beefs and are excited to work on the project. And that's really exciting, you know.
That's great.
Yeah. So we'll see. It'd be nice for our space to produce something that's kind of long lasting. And it really, really does excite me and give me something else to think about. Knowing that the men I've met over the years, you know, almost all the men that we met and did in this space, I met them before they're even YouTubers. It's crazy. You know, basically talking on Facebook, and when it was a brand new social media, and we're talking, exchanging notes as PUAs and things like that in the forums, right? And so I met almost all these guys before we ever did the YouTube thing. It's kind of crazy. So nice to know them as friends, and nice to see that they're making successes of themselves. Yeah.
And we got a little bit of time left. I want to hear your take on how important it is to build a tribe of strong masculine men, and it's who share the same ideas and values. How important that is for especially a younger man coming up these days.
It's imperative to his successful survival, because nobody goes it alone. I mean, yeah, we're born alone. Nobody's coming to rescue us. We're going to die alone. But in the meantime, as men come together, they do great things together. It's amazing what groups of men that get focused in the right direction with a leader that's inspirational or transformational can do. I mean, we've witnessed it all in our lifetimes, and that's an important thing. And then realize when the chips are down, they show up. You know, they do. You know, bring the bags and the shovels. Okay, what time where? That's a big deal to rely on the men, even when they're far away. Sometimes it's just a matter of getting some verbal support. But having a brotherhood of men around, men are good with other men. You got to have that tribe. Got to have your squad, even if it's 2 or 3. It's something we share that sometimes the ladies just don't share the same way. They have their cackle, their little coffee clutch, and they get along great. But the brotherhood of men lasts for a very long time. And I can't express enough that it starts with, guys that want self-help and all that sort of stuff, and they get into a group, or it could even be a motorcycle club, whatever it is. And then somebody mentors them. That's the next step. In fact, that's what I take some of our consultants and students on, is they learn this knowledge and they go through a phase of it's entertainment. Now I kind of masturbate around it, yeah, it's this, it's that. And then I kind of complain about it. Then I accept it. Things are working. And then they ask me, what's the next step? I mean, I understand this. It's working well. And I said, the next step is mentorship. You pass it along. You pay it forward to your brother. That's when you really start to learn. When you start to use the Socratic method and teach some young man the troubles you went through and you see him avoid them, this is what's been lacking. And this is why the lack of masculinity is a problem. It creates a crisis for men and boys today. I mean, basically, it makes them useless in a crisis. And you witness it all the time if you look at social media, or just the hesitancy in some of the generations to, pick up the challenge and move forward and say no, or say, let's do something different. That's a brotherhood coming together, and brotherhoods are viewed dangerously. I mean, you wear one of these, it's a brotherhood. You're advertising, yeah. Most of the powers that be don't want you to be in a brotherhood, gentlemen. Keeps you strong.
Well, there you go. You said it right there. The powers that be don't want to see that. They don't want to see men, strong, like-minded men, bonding together, because they know if that shit gets too big, we're not controllable. That it's going to be the way we want it to come out.
Yeah, or we're controllable enough, we'll just take charge and we'll fix it with our problem-solving skills and passion. It's true.
I genuinely think that I genuinely think that this was instituted years ago, decades, where they started telling men about men don't need friends groups. You rely on yourself, like, to keep you isolated, so you would never figure that out. And I think recently, as of the recent past, that it's come out that, in order to be a strong, successful man, you need a tribe of strong, successful, like-minded men. And notice how I say like-minded. Not all men are going to be suitable to be in your life and to be a contributor, and for you to contribute to them in your life.
Yeah, I think you touched on something, and it just reminded me. We've all saw the movie John Wick, right?
Yeah.
The movie John Wick. So most people would say he is a Sigma. He's a lone wolf. He's this and that. You realize he's much further than that. That is not the case at all. If you watch the movies carefully, he's a dominant masculine presence.
He's got deep connections.
He knows somebody in every place he goes. He's within blocks of knowing somebody. Did you notice that in there?
Yep.
And then he knows the people that are in power everywhere. It's crazy. And so he's connected.
The power of networking.
He's a lone wolf, right? Yeah. So I like that example there. You can be that kind of hero, You do have to be social, get that brotherhood going. And it is expressed interestingly in that series of movies. I didn't know if anybody had picked up on it. Most of them say, because I see these videos that are made, I am the Sigma, and they use John Wick as an example. Like, he is not the Sigma.
No, he's not. I mean, pay attention to everything the reason he has lived through 5 chapters is because he's had people all along the way who's got his back. From the homeless guy to the hotel owner, the hotel concierge, whoever he's considered. He knows people in power in every family. Yeah,
and he pays it forward. And that's one of the things that I like, and that's the philosophy of the Dragon Ship Show and the Dragons, is that a rising tide lifts all ships, and we're charged with being that rising tide. How do you do that? You express these skills so that people are better versions of themselves. And when they're better versions of themselves and they care for themselves, they make good decisions for themselves, the majority of us. And when they do that, it lifts everybody around them. It's amazing when you throw that stuff out into the universe, Joe, excuse me. When you throw that stuff out there into the universe like that, it comes back to you in amazing and surprising ways. People want to get involved. When you project that dominant masculine presence in that way, it comes right back to you.
In order to keep it, you've got to give it away. And it's through attraction, not promoting yourself, but presenting. That's what draws people in. That's what institutes a change.
Yeah.
It's not what you're saying, it's what you demonstrate.
Yeah.
And it's integral part of the process is to give it away, to make sure the next person has it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And allowing yourself to be discovered instead of having to disclose. That's for sure. You know, if you can do that, that's really powerful, and people want to be around you and they want to follow you for sure. That's when you become a transformational leader or inspirational leader. They want to get involved. And I don't know, I'm really excited about this book series. I'm going to do the best I can to get it out. Now, just like anything, even though I have 8 to 12 committed, I would expect to see about 6 to 7 in the encyclopedia. Just that's okay. Mm-hmm. And I would expect that once a few of the names go, there'll be a lot of folks. And this is an open-ended project. Paul Bauer is kind of my vice president on this, and from Command Man Podcast. And if I am not able to maintain that project, it will stay open between him and Alex beyond what I can do, so that as guys come up in this space, they'll have the opportunity to add their skills and their experiences to this encyclopedia series. I like the idea behind that. So it will always be, and will always be open-ended to do that. And it's quite a challenge too. Actually putting something like that together and formatting it so it's a beginning, middle, and end, and you get your point across based on your experiences and trying to push that forward to somebody else. That's incredibly enlightening. I don't know if you experienced that, but you have, because your martial arts training, and when you pass it to other people, it's very similar.
Yeah, the things that I absorbed most and really started understanding and internalizing this whole philosophy of masculinity and implementing it into my day-to-day life and all areas of life is when I've gotten the most out of helping men change their lives, teaching it.
Yep. I love that. I love the idea of doing that. And then maybe I talk to these guys about maybe opening, Dragons memberships everywhere. So that'd be cool. Yep.
That would be awesome.
And right now we just do it all virtually, but it's nice to once a month to have a meeting like that where the men can kind of, express their emotions safely, and then also get reasonable advice on hard issues, and or practice, transferring their knowledge to others, which is one of the things I allow on the Dragons membership. Is the guys can give their own presentations and on a subject that they're expert on, and the other guys love it. We had one guy gave us a hell of a good lecture one time on trading on Forex. He was quite successful at it and made money. So you never know what you're going to get. Definitely. Prosperity is interesting. I mean, you'd be surprised how many people don't know.
Another example of why it's so important to build a tribe. Another fine example.
Yeah. And every man actually needs it. I mean, you think of the guys that we'd had in there. We've had doctors, lawyers, ice fishermen, refinery workers. We've had, ex-porn stars. We've had almost every walk of life. Pilots,
psychologists, scientists, lawyers, every area of life.
Yep. Yeah, they all have the same basic needs, right? And some of those needs is that need for brotherhood and to gain that knowledge, particularly when it comes to, red pill knowledge, which is, we do our best to stick to the objective truth. It's kind of rule zero, which is what is useful. and then we kind of set the stuff that's not useful to the side. So we're exchanging those notes on what is field tested. That's kind of what we want to do and carry that forward, That's for sure.
Great explanation.
And then we want to share all the really cool haircuts that we get, like yours, Joe.
Yeah, man.
Look at this really cool haircut, man. Huh? What do you say?
Nice. Well, why you been hiding that beautiful head for so long? Is what I want to know.
Yeah. I'm thinking about getting some Norse tattoos, some of the ruins and shit all over here.
Get you some fucking ram horns, brother.
Ram horns. Yeah, I got
some ram horns.
Oh, get them implanted. I got some cool scars in the back. I was thinking about putting some runes over it, do that whole Ragnar Lothbrok look,
Nice. Do you have your own runes that you made? Like that's or that you apply daily just for you?
I do. If you look on the Instagram, I tested some out. We'll see. I can't do it till long after the chemo's over because the chemo slows down the healing process and it'd take months.
Yeah, you'd be scabbed up for months. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with that too much, but yeah, it's all good.
Well, dude, we've reached an hour, and
okay,
I can't tell you. I'm going to close it out, but I want to thank you sincerely, and I want you to know that not only my life, but this whole space is a better place because you're in it, and you've come here, and everything you've contributed, way beyond your books and just your presence. It matters a lot, and you've helped thousands and thousands of men, and hopefully I can contribute to that in your book series and help you carry your legacy on and move that vision forward. And
you will.
Thank you for everything that you've ever done. Thank you for everything you've ever done for me, and especially, for coming on tonight and getting to catch up a little bit. It's been great having you.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate you. You know that I do. Call me anytime. I'll see you on Thursday, and no worries. We'll make sure you cross that finish line. You'll have your own sitting here because you got experiences that we need to hear. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, I got some. All right, everybody. That's the end of the show tonight. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the coming in with despite the mishap with the times, but that's okay. We overcame that, and we have it on record now, so it's just as good. Stay tuned next week. It's going to be a Q&A next week, and also for Thor's, I'm gonna put all of Thor's links and just his Instagram, his books, everything in the description. I encourage you to go look at his stuff, and you're gonna learn. I don't want to spoil it. You need to go see for yourself. And also his Dragon Ship memberships, a tight-knit community of great like-minded men where he leads. I'm telling you, this guy is full of wisdom from a lifetime of ups and downs and successes and failures. And it's something that we're not ever going to be able to replace him in a space when he's no longer with us. I can tell you that. So you might want to get in there and get part of what he offers now before it's too late. The sooner the better. And
keep living the dream.
Yes. Thank you, my friend. And thank you, everybody, coming in. Hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And we will see y'all on the next one. Thank y'all for coming.